This is Jim Copple with the Legacy Project. Well, it's Tuesday, November 3rd. The election is finally here. Within the next couple of days, we'll have an outcome. We'll know the results of this election. I cannot remember an election where fear has so dominated the discourse, the commercials, the advertising, where whether it's President Trump and his continually blasting Joe Biden because he's a socialist, and that if he's elected president, our streets are going to run red in blood, and there's going to be violence everywhere and economic depression. And then Biden's message that if Trump is elected or reelected, can we really put up or stand 4 more years of his mismanagement of the coronavirus? And how many more deaths will take place that if he's president? And stoking the fear that this disease has taken over and dominated our culture without political leadership. These are issues that are serious. I cannot remember an election where fear has so dominated the discourse. I can remember in 1960, I was 11 years old. John Kennedy was running for president against Richard Nixon. And in that election, the fear was that if Kennedy's elected, the Pope is going to run the country, or Catholicism is going to dominate the culture, and that somehow we had to fear that. And that was discourse around our dinner table. I had the privilege of meeting John F. Kennedy in the holding room in Truman Corners, Missouri, suburb of Kansas City, at the shopping center. My grandmother pulled me out of school and took me into the holding room, and I got to meet Kennedy. When I met him, those fears didn't seem real to me, but nonetheless, they played an influence or had a role in many people's decisions on how they were going to vote. 4 years later, in 1964, Barry Goldwater is running for president, and Lyndon Johnson throws gasoline on this fire of fear by saying that if Goldwater is elected, we will be facing nuclear war. There were television commercials of buildings and people being destroyed, of children running and hiding under their desks. That was real. I remember as an elementary school student practicing drills where we were going to hide under a desk in the midst of a nuclear attack, as if that was going to protect us. But nonetheless, that was part of what we did, and it's part of how we thought. But the political campaign of 1964 was stoked with fear. Probably no other election since this one has fear so dominated the discourse or the motivation behind campaign advertising. Well, November 4th and November 5th and November 6th are going to come. We're going to get beyond this day. And fear cannot be the foundation for us to build a future in America. It's got to be on solid ideas. It's got to be on discourse and debate. That's part of a liberal democracy, where people are exchanging ideas, not based upon fear, but based upon understanding and seeking information and to try to find the truth. That's the foundation that we've got to build coming out of this election. This is Jim Copple with the Legacy Project.